That means at the mouth of or at the board of, and the two of them together, Belfast, anglicised over the years until today we arrive at Belfast, and that's how our city gets its name. Now you'll see coming up here, on your right hand side, you're going to see a statue in the middle of the road here, and this is of a man called Dr. Henry Cook, and he is standing with his back in the schools with the same education as Protestants. Well, all I can say is, I wish he had been my headmaster. I got expelled from school, walked into the science rooms, turned on all the gas taps, 10 minutes later, walked past, threw a match in, not recommended, gave a wall the whole lot, down it came. So there's Dr. Henry Cook coming up here on your right hand side. That's Belfast Academical Institute to your left hand side, or just simply known as INST. And there you are, Dr. Henry Cook and the school to your left hand side. So the same folks, we're just going to have to make a few diversions here at the moment this afternoon. We're going to make our way down into the Titanic quarter. We're going to take you down into the shipyards to let you see where the Titanic was made and launched from. We should then take you further into the shipyards. We should then be turning around, making our way out of the shipyards. We will then be stopping outside the Titanic Visitor Centre for anyone who wishes to go in to see the Titanic Visitor Centre. Then we'll make our way back into the city centre and continue on with the rest of our tour out to southwest and North Belfast. That road there, Ankle Road, later on our tour. So that's Divis Street, the Falls Road to your left hand side. Castle Court there to your right hand side, and Victoria Square shopping centre, which will be passing later on our tour as well. So when the ladies want to do a bit of shopping this afternoon, that's the place to go. And this next road on your left hand side, that is the Shankill Road. So you can see how close the two communities live side by side each other here. Now we're going to see in just a few moments, we're going to see coming up, it'll be on our right hand side, we're going to see the spire. You can actually just about make it out from here, just behind the trees there to the front right hand side. You'll see the spire of St. Patrick's Chapel. Now you'll notice as we go past a compartment inside the chapel, and it contained a painting of the Madonna and Child. Of course, the painting is by the very famous Irish artist from Dublin, Francis Lavery. Now thankfully, the painting, it wasn't even smoke damaged, and it is on display inside the chapel today, and it is insured for just over £500,000. It's only a couple of minutes walk from our last stop, I can assure you. The only thing we do ask, if you visit any place of worship, a little bit of common sense. The mobile phones, switch them off or on the silent, and there will be people in these places of worship worshipping. So just if you go into any place of worship, a little bit of common sense, your mobile phones, switch them off or on the silent. That's St. Patrick's Chapel there to your right hand side. There was a police car behind us just a few minutes ago, and I'm really glad to see that he didn't have his lights and his sirens on. My wife ran off with a policeman 7 years ago, and I thought that was them bringing her back. That new building to your right hand side is the brand new University of Ulster. The old University of Ulster is just outside of Belfast in a little town called Jordanstown. The university is closing down this year, and we're expecting some 25,000 students moving into this part of the city. That's why you can see all the students are all for the new students that are coming here later on this year. So of course with the students coming, we're going to need more shops, restaurants, bars, nightclubs. So this part of the city is going to come back to life sometime quite soon, I would say. Say, folks, we're just making a slight diversion there. You can see just ahead of us the Albert Memorial Clock, built in memory of Queen Victoria's late husband, Prince Albert. The clock tower originally cost £2,000 to build, but quite recently we had to spend £2 million having the clock tower repinned at 175 feet. You can see that the clock tower leans by about 4 feet off the perpendicular, and that's because it stands on top of the river posterior, and the Victorian foundations have been sinking into the ground since construction. You'll see the statue of Prince Albert halfway up the clock, and he's dressed wearing the robes of the Garter. The footbridge that takes you over the River Lagan do come down at night time when all the lights from underneath the footbridge shine right across to the Queen Elizabeth Bridge. It's a little bit like Paris at night time. Yeah, right. If you close your eyes, underneath the footbridge you'll see the tidal wave barrier that was installed 14 years ago at a cost of just over £14 million. It has cleaned the river up so much. You look to your right hand side, you'll see the waterfront hall, the Hilton Hotel, brand new apartments, over £750 million worth of investment has been brought into this part of the city since the river has been cleaned up. So the original £14 million spent on the little tidal wave barrier was a very sound investment indeed. Crossing over the Queen Elizabeth Bridge, we're now leaving County Antrim behind us and making our way across into County Down. And now I want you to look out directly in front of us, and we're going to see the Odyssey Arena. Inside here we have the W5, who, what, where, when and why, hands-on action, science for children, very good so it is. Many restaurants, cinemas, bars, nightclubs, 10-pin bowling, and at the very end of the building we have our very own 14,000 seating arena. We get all the big pop stars coming here now, the likes of Rod Stewart, Elton John, Dolly Parton. It's also home to our ice hockey team, the Belfast Giants. We were going to call them the Belfast Bombers, but that didn't go down too well. And you can see how good we are. If you look over the wall coming up on your left, there's usually one or two ambulances sitting here getting ready for tonight's game. Look out directly in front of us, and on top of the hill you might be able to make out a large white building that is Stormont, that is home for the Northern Ireland government. That's where all our politicians go sometimes and pretend to work. Now we're just going to turn left into the Titanic quarter, or to give it its original name, Queen's Island. And this at one time was the entrance into the biggest shipyard in the world, called Harland of Wolff. The shipyard employed 35,000 men, with a further 15,000 worldwide. We don't build ships here now anymore. The last ship to be built here was 19 years ago, and that was the Ample Point. Just while we're sitting at the traffic lights, some of you may have seen the news as we buried the Irish world champion hokey pokey dancer. It's a very sad day here today in Ireland. We buried the Irish world champion hokey pokey dancer, and it took 10 hours to bury him. Because every time I got the left leg in, he put the right leg out. I had to think of something for goodness sake. We were sitting at traffic lights. I don't know about you lot, but I was getting pretty bored. To your left-hand side, you can't help but notice the two big, large yellow cranes, Samson and Goliath. They straddle the world's largest dry dock. That dry dock can accommodate any ship afloat in the world today. Samson stands at 96 meters tall. Goliath stands at 110 meters tall. If necessary, they can lift 840 tons each. The red box on top of the cranes, that used to be the canteen for the workers, and those, believe it or not, are going to be turned into glass restaurants. So how would you fancy coming out of there at about 5 o'clock in the morning with about 10 pints of Guinness in you? How are you going to get down? That's not a problem. If you look at the very far side of the cranes, you'll see a big yellow leg, and there's actually a lift that takes you up and down the inside of it. And that's how we're going to get you up and down. And that's not just pie in the sky, folks, but if you wanted pie in the sky, that would be the place to go. And I want you to look out directly in front of us, and you can see the red brick building that is now the Titanic Hotel, but at one time that used to be the drawing office of Holland and Wolff. It's inside this building that Thomas Andrews would have sat in the bottom drawing rooms, and he would have looked out the back of this building and watched as the Titanic was being constructed. There's 70 museums all around the world dedicated to the Titanic. We don't have one. This is going to be our new Titanic Museum, and as you can see, as a mark of respect, that we haven't even washed the windows yet. That's the old drawing office just directly in front of us. And now I want you to look across to your left-hand side, and you'll see all the steel beams sticking up out of the ground. They go around the two concrete slipways, number 3 and number 4. There originally used to be 28 slipways in this area, and that's all that's left to this day. The one closest to us is where the Titanic was launched from. The one furthest away from us is where her sister ship, the Olympic, was launched from. To give you an idea of the size of the Titanic, she was just over 900 feet in length. She was 95 feet wide. She weighed 46,000 tons. She was driven by 3 massive bronze propellers, each propeller 23 feet diameter, and each propeller weighing just over 5 tons in weight. So it gives you an idea of how big the Titanic actually was. Now we're just going to turn here in a turning circle, and then we will be stopping outside the Titanic Visitor Center. But if you look out directly in front of us, you can see that little ship sitting in the largest dry dock anywhere in the world. It's called the ALX.